Okay, Jim, nice to see you again.
Hey, great to see you too.
Well, tell me about this new project. That sounds great. I saw that title. I always felt I've written like 100 books. I can write a book on anything. I just can't think of the title. And you got great titles, man. Tell us the title.
The new title of the book is called No Publisher Needed, How I Raised Over $35,000 in 30 Days to Pre-Fund My New Book.
Wow. I mean, you can stop working and just do that.
Well, I got to write the book now.
Oh, I see. Details. So is the book like how to raise the money, or the book is something else?
Well, there's two things. So the original idea came about because I was writing a series of books called Business Around a Lifestyle. You were in my first book, Attention, and I wanted to write these books called Business Around a Lifestyle because I meet a lot of people like you and a lot of other people who have internet businesses, legitimate internet businesses, who have these lifestyles that they like to have, where they don't have to work in cubicles and they don't have to have bosses they hate and all of those things that you and I enjoy that a lot of other people just don't think that they can do. So I wanted to write these books for the longest time, and I had a traditionally published book, Attention, put out by a publisher in August 2010. And what I realized real quickly was that the traditionally published model was not for me. It moves too right.
It's like working for somebody, isn't it?
It really is. It moves too slow. I do all the marketing pretty much myself. What do I need them for?
Exactly. They get all the money. They just print it.
And they give you such a small commission. Yeah. So I said to myself, well, the only really thing that they really give me that is really helpful is that signing bonus, right? If you can get it, Okay. So I said, well, why don't I make my own signing bonus? So I came up with this idea. I said, I'm going to pre-fund these books. And if you've ever seen a site called Kickstarter.
Yes, no, we wrote up a bunch of those. That's why I'm going to put you next to this on this.
Well, here's the thing about Kickstarter. You don't need Kickstarter. Kickstarter is a great site, and it's great for creative projects, but they only take projects that you have to apply, and they don't take projects like mine. They turned me down. They said, we don't want your books.
Nobody.
So I said to him, that's fine. I'll do it myself.
A true entrepreneur.
Right. So I went out and I just built a website, a landing page with a video, talked about what's going to be in the books. I had book covers made, and I put a whole bunch of different pledge options on the page. And I said, if you pledge $50, you'll get a copy of the digital books plus your name in the book. If you pledge, $1,000, you get this. If you pledge $7,500, I'll dedicate the book to you. Wow. So I sold 3 of those. I sold the first dedication to AWeber, Email Marketing Solutions, and then the other 2 books to clickbank.com at $7,500 each. And then the rest came from other individual donations.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, go ahead. So tell us more about the process. Like, I mean, if someone doesn't have an audience like you do, how would they build that, maybe, to get this?
That's one of so after I did the pre-funding for the books, I wrote a book called No Publisher Needed, and I tell people how to do that. Uh-huh. So but the process is, and what I talk about in the book is, it would be better to have a platform, right? A platform is what you have, what I have, an ability to have Facebook friends, Twitter followers, email subscribers, readers of your site and your blog. But if you don't have a platform, you need to start right away to build one. That does not mean that you can't do this. Because of the power of where we exist in the world today in terms of social media and the ability to get the word out without having to spend millions and millions of dollars. You know what I'm talking about, Matthew. Right. Before the internet, how much money did you have to spend to get your message out on television and radio and everything, right?
Well, let me stop because people may not know that you're really a social media marketing guru. So this is, you speak from experience about what's going on there. Yeah. So go ahead. So how would one start building that?
So first of all, you got to have the platform of what people can buy. Rule number 1 in marketing, as you know, is you've got to have something that people can identify with and want to purchase, right? So if you're going to do this for a book, you got to have the book cover made first. You can't just go online and go, hey, I've got an idea.
I'm cool.
That sounds really awesome. Give me some money. right? And people are like, everyone's got ideas. You know, the difference between successful people and non-successful people are the ones who they always come up with ideas. I know you get this all the time, so do I. They come to me and they go, I want you to sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, because I've got this great idea. It's the next big thing.
Ideas, I don't need them. I got a drawer full of mine I can't do.
Exactly. So ideas are nothing until you have something, until you do something with it. So if you're going to do it for a book, create a book cover and a page that tells the story of what the book's going to be. That way, when a customer comes and looks at the page, they can identify with it and say, oh, that makes sense. It's a book about this, and here's the story of why they're writing it, and it's all laid out very nicely in a format that people can easily understand and easily pledge amounts to. So that's step one. You got to have something that the customer can buy. Step two is make it super easy for them to understand what it is and to pledge to it. Now remember, the key is to this whole thing, whenever you're pre-funding anything, is not to say the word donate. All right? I'm looking at the camera. Don't say donate.
You sound like NPR, though.
Because when you're asking somebody to donate money, it's a different psychological reaction in their head. You know, marketing and sales is all about psychological reactions in human beings, right? So when you say donate to someone, they want to donate because it makes them feel better about themselves. You know, all those reasons. They feel like they're part of something. When you do a pre-funding campaign, it's all about pledging. Okay? Pledging is the key word, because what you're saying to a person is, I'm going to produce something, and I want you to be part of it. And your pledge helps me make that possible, and I'm going to include you in part of this. I will put your name in the acknowledgments of the book. I will dedicate the book to you. I will send you some bonus items, whatever. So it's key to say pledging when you're doing this type of project. Because if you say donate, people are like, why should I just give that guy $500? Right?
You're like selling then, in that you're appealing to their greed too, besides just their.
Well, it's you know, for a book or anything, it's crowdfunding, right? It's pre-selling. It's essentially saying, I'm going to produce something and I want you to be part of it, and you want the outcome of it, so you should come and help me make that right now. And it really, really works. And it works for books. It works for anything. The key is you just got to have the right wording in place. You got to have the right messaging in place. And the very biggest key to the whole process is this. You have to have a great story. Because
I mean, a great story that's going to be in the book or the product or
a story about why you're doing it.
I see.
You know, if you're writing a book, you should probably have a story that tells, you know, why exactly you're writing that and what the book's going to be about, and create an emotional connection with the person who's going to pledge.
Like an example. I mean, like, if your son died of leukemia and you wanted to do a book on leukemia, and that's your motivation.
Absolutely, that's a great one. You know, if you've ever seen the Humane Society commercials where the dogs and the cats look like they're crying, and they have the Sarah McLachlan song, "The Eyes of the Angel." Have you ever seen that commercial?
I don't remember.
Everybody knows what I'm talking about. You look at that commercial and you want to just pick up the phone, because what happens is they create an emotion in you, and it makes you want to create a reaction, because emotions create reactions. And if you can create an emotion in somebody, whether it's disgust or happiness or anger or whatever it is, you can usually get that person to more easily do something, which is to share it, to pledge, to donate, to buy, to click, to download, right? Emotions create reactions. So one of the best things you can do in your marketing, whether it's for pre-funding a book or for anything, is to figure out what emotion you can create in people. And if you can tap into that with the message of your book or what you're trying to do or how you're trying to do it, you'll have a much better chance of getting people to participate in it.
I guess that's what all the movies and books do to us, is try to create emotions so we connect with their story, huh? And
they really do, yeah.
And that's what we have to do in marketing. I don't know if you saw this book a couple years ago, The Whole New Mind, about how we're going to be a society of right brain, because this is what we're all about, is telling stories. That's what we do great as a country.
I haven't seen that one. I got to write that one down.
Yeah, Richard Pink. I don't.
Okay, I know him.
Yeah, okay. His first one, that was A Whole New Mind, and it's sort of like the MFA is the new MBA, yeah.
Okay.
Kind of thing, and that's what I believe, and that's what you're talking about, and that's what I feel our country maybe has an edge on with the rest of the world. They're still studying physics, yeah, yeah, and doing that maybe better than we are. But there's only a couple 100,000 of, or million of us, and in 9 billion or whatever we're going to be, that we are at a higher level maybe on all these things, and that's one of it. Like storytelling. And that's what marketing is telling a story somehow. And that's what you're saying. So if anybody's selling themselves or selling their idea, it's that story. And actually, here's another interesting from the book, and I have the book up there. He said, the greatest thing to do, no matter what you are in life, is there's a great Bible for writing a screenplay. And that's what he suggests that everybody really needs, is like the basics of writing a screenplay, telling a story. Yeah.
I just bought a book today called, it was exactly like that, How to Write Fiction, because I'm a nonfiction writer, and I have a very small audience. It's marketing executives and people like that. And when I look at the book market right now, what's killing it on the ebook side, for every 100 books that are sold on Amazon, print books, they sell 180 digital books, and that's going up every single month. And what's killing it right now on the digital side is the fiction side, which is, romance, vampire books, things like that.
So sci-fi. Do a marketing vampire.
Exactly. So I'm sitting, as an entrepreneur, I'm sitting back and I'm like, man, I wish I could write fiction, because if I could write, vampire books now, I'd be making a lot of money, because, these people are really making a lot of money doing this. But, so I'm going to try to learn some tricks about how to write fiction.
I think that's probably wise no matter, even if you're not writing, because if you learn how to tell a story better.
Yeah, it really is about telling stories.
Exactly. So whether it's fiction or nonfiction, you really have to go through the same process. Yeah. And actually, what I sort of think is, I flunked English in college, so I never think about writing fiction. But I feel that fiction is the only place you could really tell the truth. Yeah, we all edit ourselves too much in writing nonfiction.
We do.
That we can't really tell the truth. So really, guys, so in a month you raise $35,000 to do your own thing. That's, to me, what's wonderful about it is, man, there are just other ways to do stuff in this country than traditional sources, like going to a New York publisher or whatever to get your book or whatever.
Yeah, right now the book business is in a huge shift, right? Of epic proportions. And the traditional model, while it still exists and is not going to go away, is not as feasible for authors as it used to be. It's harder to get book deals. The bookstores are closing. And frankly, as a business person, it doesn't make any sense to me, because they pay such small commissions. They don't really do much for you. And anyone can put a book up online now on Amazon in 24 hours or less. It's so easy.
Well, 25, 30 years ago when I first did my first book, became a New York Times bestseller. I thought I'd have a penthouse on Wall Street or something. If I ever became a New York Times, I'm book this, And they took all, and I did all the selling. I went on talk shows and acted like an idiot and sold this thing. So that's why that's why I had to figure out is the distribution cycle. And now that you don't need that because of the web, it was how do you get in bookstores, that's what they had.
That was the big thing. You're right. They held that over me 2 years ago. They were like, well, the reason you want to sign with us is because we'll get you into Barnes and Nobles. Yeah. But as I later found out, when my book was released as a first-time author, Barnes and Noble, when my book came out, it was in 1 out of every 5 Barnes and Noble stores around the country. Even in my own neighborhood.
And your audience probably doesn't buy books like that in Barnes and Noble anyway.
No, and they had, by the way, there was 1 book. So if they had 1 book, they would sell the book, and then I would call, and then I'd go in the Barnes and Noble. So do you order another one right away? They're like, no. We wait. We'll maybe make another order in 6 months. That whole thing about the bookstore thing is.
Yeah. Well, when they were starting to go down, that's why I got rid of books about 4 years ago or so. Because I thought what they were doing, because they were getting in trouble, they would order all my books. I figured out how to sell the bookstore and get my independent books in there. And then because they don't sell, then they buy them on consignment. So then after 90 days, they send them all back and order them again, you know, because they need wallpaper. I said, I've just given you guys wallpaper. This is silly.
Yeah, the business, the traditional legacy business is in trouble. They're you know, I'm not one of those people that says they're gonna die kind of thing. You know, I mean, look, they'll be around. They're just gonna be smaller. You know, they still got tons of people like Snooki, who by the way, has 2 legacy published books out.
Wow.
So if that tells you anything about the state of the industry
Now,
right
legacy
now.
publishing, what does that mean?
Legacy publishing is Big 6 publishing. So the Big 6 traditional publishing firms. Okay, it's just another term for the Big 6, the old way of publishing. I call it the old way now. But these guys are still going out and they're signing up people like Snooki from the Jersey Shore to write books. And that tells you everything you need to know about the industry as it stands right now.
That's why you want to write fiction.
Well, so my advice is, you know, look, if you want to write a book and you want to, you know, get some early sales of it going, you want to create your own virtual signing bonus, you want to pre-fund the book, there's absolutely no reason you can't do this. Get a cover. Get a nice little website, tell a nice little story, make a video. Look how I did it. My website is businessaroundalifestyle.com. I've got a book called No Publisher Needed on Amazon you can download. Create your own signing bonus. You may only raise $500. You may only raise $50. But who cares? That is essentially pre-sales of a concept in your head.
That's what I like about the idea totally, because even when I was doing hardcover books, to me is, you know, I work a year on a book, but I want to know if it sells. So I run ads to see if, I pretend I had the book, but I didn't. You know, and you want to buy this book, and I wouldn't cash the checks. Yeah.
The dirty. I'm an internet marketer, right? I've been doing internet marketing for 16 years, right? So the dirty little secret to internet marketers is this: is that you know how you always get those lists of those $2,000 products that people send out, and they're like, buy it on launch day, right? You know what the dirty little secret is for most of those is? They don't even create the products until after they sell them. So here's how it works. They go out and they do this big launch. They spend a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money to get you excited, like movie trailers. And then they sell $1 million worth of the product in a day. And then what they do is they go, all right, it'll be ready in 2 weeks. Then the person goes and they close the door in their office and they make the product.
Right.
And then they send it to you.
And that's what you're saying. In reality, that's what you're saying, but it's more legitimate. You're being honest about what you're doing. Yeah.
I'm being totally honest. I haven't written the book yet.
They're not being honest. They're doing this, but in a dishonest fashion. And you're doing. But see, to me, what I like about it even more, the hardest thing to anything is marketing. So even if you do your product, you spend how much time doing it, and then go out and market it, and you say, hey, I should have painted it green. It's too late.
Well, it's really key. I mean, as we know, as you said, you go out and run ads, and you test to see if people are interested in that type of thing. And it's a very smart way to do things when you're running a business is first find out if the target audience actually even wants it before you create it. We see this all the time. My clients come to me and they're like, well, I spent the last year creating this DVD project. And I'm like, are you sure anyone even wants it? And they're like, well, I never asked. I just assumed. Right. And then when we try to go sell it and people are like, I didn't really need that.
Right. Or to me, the other fallacy is we'll ask our friends, and your friends don't buy stuff like that anyway. So what the heck you ask?
They expect you to give it to you for free anyway.
Right.
So. One of the best things you can do that I've done in the past as well is ask people. So if you have a couple followers on Facebook or some friends or family or anyone, is create a little survey on Facebook or use SurveyMonkey and send it out to people and just go, hey, what are your biggest problems? What are the things that you need most in this industry, or what are the things that you need help with the most? That's it. You get the answers to that. That's your entire service, your entire product right there.
That's the title of your next book. So that's what I used to do when I used to do books, because it took me a year to book, and then I go market them for a year, and then I do talk shows, all over the country, and people would tell me the new problem. I'd be listening. Oh, I see what the next book should be.
That's exactly what the Business Around a Lifestyle books came about, because after I wrote Attention, I had so many people come up to me, and still do, who are like, Jim, I like the way that you live your life and the way that you have an attitude about things, and how do we do that? And how can you teach me how to do that? And I said, well, I have to write these books now. Because, look, I truly believe in the Business Around a Lifestyle thing. I could be very much more rich. I mean, I'm not a super wealthy guy. I don't fly first class. I don't have big fancy cars, right? I have a nice suburban family. I home and life and everything, right? So I'm not this super rich, guru who runs around screaming. You know why? Because I've decided that my life is more important than my business. I would much rather take a day off and go fishing, which I love to do, than sit around for 24 hours working. I would much rather spend every weekend with my family, which I do for the last 7 years, instead of checking my email, working, all of those things. That's partly the reason why I'm not the super millionaire, because I have my priorities are where I want to spend my life the way I want to do it. And I think everybody needs to make that decision at the beginning. What kind of life do you want? Then you take and you build a business around that life. And the internet's a great way to do that.
No, I think I always felt your time was the most important asset you have. Everyone thinks they're possessions. They'll kill people if they steal a car and things like that. But it's some boring person, it ties you up for 2 hours at a boring lunch. To me, that's stealing more from me than any piece of crap I got.
Life is really short. If we've been taught since birth that we should do things like everybody else. I mean, we should grow up, get a job that we hate, work in a career that we hate, live a life that we're not really thrilled with, and just suck it up, right? And just suck it up and do that. And it's really funny when you really start thinking about that and you look around and you see all the people who don't do that. Right. Guess who all those people are? They're the owners of companies. Right. They're the CEOs. They're the ones who are taking 6-week vacations to Europe. At some point in your life, you need to break out of that mentality of here's what everyone told me I had to do and everyone I had to be. And you're a great example. That's why I love talking to you. And you have to break out of that and go and make it happen. And that's partly what these books are about, is learning about what's really possible and how other people can do it and doing it yourself.
It's giving them options. People say, I need $100,000 to write a book or something, and nobody will give me that. It's just there's other ways to do things. There's more than one ways to do anything.
There really is. And you just have to try. You have to try.
And fail. That's why, to me, it's the loved ones, I think, are another handicap and success, because they say, don't do that, you're going to fail. Well, you are. But that's how you learn what really to do.
The failure is unbelievable. I mean, I love failing because you learn about what to do right. I've failed thousands and thousands of times, and occasionally you're going to hit one of those into a home run or
by accident, and then people think you're brilliant.
But it really is about, there's a lot of luck involved, but there's a lot of going out there and making your own luck. The more chances you take at something, the higher percentage you have of getting a successful hit. That's just statistics, right?
Well, I hope this inspires more people to do that stuff. That's why I want everybody to do what they want to do in life, because then my life will be a lot better because they'll be happier.
Well, yeah, go check it out. It's jimkukrelbooks.com, or just search Amazon for No Publisher Needed, or nopublisherneeded.com. You can go to my blog and read about the self-publishing industry.
Nopublisherneeded.com. Thanks you, Jim.
Thank you.